The last time you saw the Toyota Hilux Conquest, we took you on a little tour of what Toyota has changed with this new model for 2021. Yep, it's got a new look, a couple new features, and most importantly, an enhanced engine. Well, enough talk for now. Let's go out and drive it. Now, the spec sheet still says it's the 1GD FTV like before. But the main difference now is that they've made a few enhancements with the engine itself, particularly in the block with the gaskets, the manifold, those kinds of, of engineering improvements. Now, the result is a block that can handle more power. And now they gave it more power thanks to a new turbo. Unlike before, the turbo of the 1GD in this model is now a ball bearing turbo and has an enhanced variable geometry system, or variable nozzle system, as Toyota calls it. The result is, well, an enhancement in power to the tune of 204 metric horsepower and 500 newton meters of torque. Let's do a 0 to 100 and see what we can get. All right, we will try to launch at around 1500 RPM, up 1800. Let's try 1800. Whoa, okay. Yep, power is there right away. It's really revving nicely. 80 is done, 90, 100. Right? And now we can check our performance report. The Hilux Conquest did it in 10.8 seconds. Now, the reports from abroad is that this new truck can do it in 10.7. So, we'd say it's pretty accurate. So yes, you can feel the extra power and torque with the new Hilux. That much is clear. What we do wish Toyota did with to match the power and the torque is to upgrade the braking system a little bit more. It still has ventilated discs in front and drums in the back. So what happens is, under hard braking from 100 kilometers per hour, you do feel a little bit of nose diving. It's not too much, it's not too bad, but it is enough for us to notice it and to have to actually point it out. The Conquest variant is not just about having a fancier, bolder looking body kit. There's actually one key difference this has over the standard Hilux models, and that is in terms of ride comfort. You see, unlike other Hilux models, this one is meant to compete against the Ford Ranger, Wildtrak, Strada Athletes, lifestyle trucks really. Trucks that can serve as your daily driven vehicle, as well as serve you when it comes to your business or if you're going off-roading, that kind of thing. It's supposed to have that kind of duality of purpose, work and play. So in this version, you'll notice that the ride is a lot softer. Other Hiluxes in the past, you will know that the front has a very different suspension characteristic to the rear. So if you go over a bump in front, it will generally absorb it. But if you're not carrying anything and you go over that same bump with the rear suspension, then you will feel a pretty sharp bump when you go over it. In this Conquest, that is not the case. The ride is definitely softer compared to the other Hilux non-Conquest variants. And that is a good thing if it is a lifestyle truck that you're looking for. So one thing I really like with the Hilux is the power steering unit. What Toyota did with this model is they put in a variable flow control power steering unit. So even if you're maneuvering at low speeds, it's very light. It's almost crossover light, which is very surprising. And then when you're at higher speeds, well, the steering gets a little bit, stiffer. So the characteristic of the power steering unit at low speed, it gives you that extra bit of comfort, almost crossover-ish levels of comfort. But at high speeds, it tightens up a little bit to give you a bit more control, a bit more stability, which is exactly what you need. When it comes to fuel economy, the Conquest actually impressed me quite a bit. In my time with it in the city, it was averaging 8.8 kilometers per liter up to 9.2. That's with fairly heavy traffic. But on the highway, it actually improves quite a bit to around 16.3. So these are pretty good numbers for this powertrain combo of the 2.8 liter, the new 2.8 liter, or upgraded 2.8 liter, and the also upgraded 6-speed automatic. Now, one of my criticisms of the Hilux Conquest is actually the infotainment system. Yes, it's bigger, it's better. The Apple CarPlay works, and the Android Auto actually really works well, depending on the phone. On my phone, the Android Auto wasn't working, but I think it's a phone issue, not this screen issue. The thing about this that needs improvement is really the resolution and just the way it handles the user experience or the user interface. We think Toyota could have done better, particularly with how fast it is, how well it responds, and how it looks. It just feels a bit more dated compared to a lot of its competitor models. In terms of handling, going up here, it's actually not bad. It's quite sprightly for such a big, heavy vehicle, and yes, this is a big and heavy truck compared to a lot of the other models as well. But the engine is really handling it well, as well as the 6-speed auto. As much as we actually enjoyed the drive of the new Hilux Conquest with the new performance and a lot of the new features, there are a few things that we think should really be improved for a truck at this price point. Of course, one is the audio system. We've already mentioned that. But what we really want to point out is, the use of interior materials. A lot of it is hard plastic. If you're charging 1.85 million for a pickup truck, it should be a bit, better than that. Oh, and one more thing. The seats, they're not leather. Now, some of you are going to say that, hey, this is a pickup truck. It's supposed to be a workhorse. But yes, that's true. It should be able to do the job. But this is also a lifestyle truck. So that means it has to be a bit more comfortable than the standard workhorse. But does that really matter that much in a Hilux? Yes, there are many trucks in the Philippine market that offer more features, more equipment for less than Hilux Conquest money. But there is a reason why Toyota can charge quite a bit for something like the Conquest. And that's because they built a reputation around the reliability of their products, most especially something with Hilux on the door. That's why it's also one of the best sellers, not just in the Philippines, but worldwide when it comes to pickup trucks. Will that be enough to convince you? Well, I suggest you try one to find out for yourself.